This is an important video that I spent days working on, and I believe this video will be the gateway to exposing Thailand's patterns and scheme. You see, this is why I love data. Because with data, we have patterns, and we can study this pattern to essentially tell a truth in a conflict. And so in this chapter 2, I want to go through all the data of the past, essentially historical data, to show you why Thailand's only solution, by the way, let me repeat, Thailand's only solution in this conflict, which is bilateral diplomacy, will not work, and why it doesn't make sense. Hi, friend. I want to put this in the beginning of the video because as I am sitting here, only voices are given to Thailand, interviewed by Thai correspondent, propagated by Thai's reporter in international media. As I am sitting here, Thailand is shutting Cambodians' voice. They are shutting it by shutting their media, a lot of their medias, so that we cannot view their media, so that they can propagate lies to their civilians, to their citizens, to the world, where we cannot even see their headlines, take it and tear it apart. That is how we, our voice as Cambodians, are getting shut down. As I am sitting here, the lives of innocent, elderly, and the lives of the newer generation of soldiers are getting claimed. Drones and soldiers attacking areas that are outside of the border conflicts, area and territories that have always been Cambodia's. So, ladies and gentlemen, my international friends, international communities, big medias, you have to hear Cambodia cry for peace. And if not, just give Cambodian a voice on the international stage. That is literally all we ask for. To understand these border issues, we need to first look at the historical data dating back to the fall of the Khmer empires. Based on maps and historian, the Khmer empires didn't just collapse overnight, it is a gradual fall. And this 1200 world map shows exactly that. Here's the Khmer empires in 1200, and here is the Khmer empire in the 1400. And here is Thailand starting to gain power. Through maps and timeline, we trace the fall of the Angkor, the capital, as Cambodian monarch moved from Angkor to Long Wake to Dong and finally to Phnom Penh. As a result, with no way out, and as Cambodia has started to become a vassal state to these two neighbors, the Cambodian king then turned to France for protection. And that is when the story gets a bit complicated, because that decision changes a lot of things. After Cambodia became a French protectorate, this treaty happened. The 1867 treaty guaranteed Cambodia territorial integrity, essentially protecting Cambodia from Siam's and Vietnamese influence. And afterward, the French forced the Cambodian king to sign a new treaty, giving them administrative control, and then Cambodia lost its right to conduct international diplomacy, and then the French handled the defense, but that is not the point of the video. Let's stick to the main point, which is the Cambodian and Thai relation. Later in 1907, there was another major territorial exchange where Siam has to return Battambang, Siem Reap, and Sisophon to French Cambodia, and Siam in return received Trat and Dansai. Here's when things get complicated, and all of this is in history book, by the way, because right before the 1907 deal, a major convention was established, and that convention has 16 articles, and Article 3 is the critical clause that mentions that Preah Vihear is supposed to be placed inside of Cambodian territory. And there are historical evidence that support that. Just look at the Annex 1 map and you'll see. So after the French produced that map, there was no objection from Siam. And so Cambodia would later rely on that French map to define the modern-day boundary. I am in serious need of a haircut. By the way, I don't really understand why we're still talking about Preah Vihear being a Cambodian temple? Mate, it has been decided in court already, not once, but twice. Like it's in UNESCO, it literally has Cambodian history. It is literally on the map produced by the French, yet we still see headlines like this from Thailand. Like bruh, not the civilians, but the government. Are you dumb? Look at the facts, man. I'm frustrated, by the way, but let's just continue with the video. Fast forward to 1953, Cambodia gains independence, and for 50 years, Cambodia had accepted and lived by the French drawn map. But surprise, surprise, after the French withdrawal from Cambodia, Thai troops suddenly moved in to Preah Vihear, a temple that has centuries of history built by Cambodia, sitting atop of the Dong Rake mountain range. Thailand argued it sat on their side of the watershed. Imagine the watershed as a roof. If rainfall to this side, it is your territory. If rainfall to that side, it is our territory. So Preah Vihear, when it was drawn, it's clearly placed inside of Cambodians' territory. So wake up. From now on, I want to use data to showcase Thailand's position. Let me call it Thailand's blueprint to conflict, to this border dispute with Cambodia. And the blueprint that they always use is bilateral diplomacy, which will creep you out, I guarantee that. Okay, from data we can see that in the late 50s, Thailand escalated tension right after Cambodia gained independence. Which, by the way, imagine doing that to your neighbor when he just gained independence from French. Absolute horrendous behavior. So they attacked Cambodia, and Cambodia went to the International Court of Justice, just like anyone would do. If someone attacked you, you would go to the police. But guess what? Thailand, more than 70 years ago, say that, no, don't get involved. I want to do bilateral diplomacy, which, if you don't know, let me simplify it for you. It's like I called you to have private conversation, just the two of us. That alone already sounds sketchy. Why do we have to create word like bilateral diplomacy? It doesn't make sense. It's like this. Hey Cambodia, I just attack you. Let's have a private conversation to sort it out. It ain't gonna work. It sounds sketchy, it is suspicious, and I will tell you why even more. So this is important because the claim Thai is making now is that the ICJ is biased. Surprise, surprise, you are biased, we don't want you. But then why didn't they go to the ICJ in the 1960s before the court ruled Preah Vihear to Cambodia? Is it because they were also biased? But the court hasn't ruled anything in Cambodians' favor. You gotta think for yourself, mate. Because Thai government, your story ain't adding up. And let's continue analyzing the data. From 2008 and 2011, Thai troop enters area near Preah Vihear. They build roads, they occupy pagodas, and Cambodia filed complaint to the International Court of Justice once again. And Thai rejected it again. And this is why I love data. Because back then, when ASEAN was created, ASEAN tried to mediate, the US tried to mediate, and Thailand rejected the mediation. You see the patterns? Because look, in 2025, the same thing happened. Cambodia filed to ICJ. Thailand rejected ICJ. ASEAN, US tried to mediate. Thailand rejected ASEAN and US. It happened so many times. It's not just happened once. Fool me once, fine. Fool me twice, I am the fool. And I'm not going to let my country being called the fool. Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's so insane and it's so obvious. And at this point, it's so creepy. Thailand keeps saying, hey, I want to do bilateral diplomacy. Replace that. It's like Thailand asking you, hey, let's have a conversation together. You and I, we solve this together. I may attack you first, but let's solve it together. It's so creepy, bruh. It's so suspicious. Like, I'm so freaking angry and frustrated by the amount of misinformation, by the amount of readiness, preparedness that they have come and paint Cambodia as some crazy villains in some sort of way. Look, our country is not perfect, but Cambodians are some of the most honest people you will ever meet. And I say that hands on heart, mate. But friends, I want to give Thailand the benefit of the doubts. I want to understand what is this narrative of bilateral diplomacy? What is happening behind the scene? What caused Thailand to do that? And to do that, I have to do more research to understand why is Cambodia and Thailand the way it is? Because I believe in the goodness of humanity. I used to visit Thailand. I see the goodness of people in Thailand. I want to know what is their government planning? And so I did a lot of research and I comes to this book. So this is a book that was released a while back and it tells the whole picture. It takes us out of nationalism, which can blind us, and analyze both sides, Cambodia and Thailand, with no bias. Seriously, the author is a Cambodian, but he writes this book that view both perspectives. Just read it, there is no bias at all, and it's not sponsored, by the way, just to let you know. So the book uses a social conflict analysis proposed by Lee Jones, and this model is actually amazing. The book might make it a bit complicated, but essentially this theoretical framework say that a country's foreign policy is not just a result of one united government making logical decisions to protect national interest. Instead, a country is made up of many competing groups inside, like politicians, businesses, military, and social class. And so this social conflict analysis essentially means that foreign policy is shaped by how these internal conflicts and alliance changes. And brother, after I read that part, I was like, wow, I feel dumb. Yeah, I feel dumb. But anyway, this book essentially goes on and talk about how through the lens of this social conflict analysis, your government may be acting not because of you or national interest, because they want to compete for power. The book brought up a lot of things that you can read, but one thing that I found very interesting is that until 2001, before Thaksin came in power, Thailand has been ruled by what we call network monarchy, which to simplify is that the king doesn't rule directly, but he has a network which are his loyal team in powerful position, and the result is royal influence over politics without having to rule directly. You see where I'm getting? The king has power, but he's lurking in the shadow, and he has all of his loyal men in powerful positions, and he has control over them. Think for yourself. I'm not here to stir anything up. I'm not gonna elaborate, but as a thinker, just take that in and analyze. Maybe do your research. And during that time, when Thailand's civilian government were in power, they were not completely independent and posed no threat to the network monarch. And this book raised a good example of when Thaksin came in power. His foreign policy was essentially a tool to garner power. For example, he sought to enhance his business empire through investment in Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. And Cambodia and Thailand relations back in the early 2000s were very cooperative. And Thaksin was so successful that it is feared by this network monarchy. And so while he was abroad for a UN meeting, I believe, surprise, surprise, a military coup just happened. And this is not the first time. Back in the 90s, there was also another time when a civilian government rose to power, gained too much power, and a military coup just happened. But that's not all. Through this lens of social conflict analysis, we can see that they are competing for powers and they will use whatever narrative they can bake. Even if it is half-baked, even if it's not cooked, they will push it out for people to eat. And when they eat this half-baked narrative, they are consuming lies, they are spending their efforts, their nationalism. Soldiers are losing life, people living on the borders are losing life. All for what? All for these higher up to gain political power. You are essentially a pawn for these people in power, and it just hurts me, especially for my nation's civilians who are innocent and who are being painted as these villains. And if you look at pattern, in 2008 the Parliamentary of Thai appointed a military supported PM, and then in 2011 to 2014, and then lost its power because of another coup. And you can see the pattern now, right? And then from 2014 to 2019 Thailand was led by another military government, and from 2019 to present, almost present, Thailand has been led by civilian government. And then Cambodia and Thai enjoy good diplomatic relations. We nearly had a happy ending, but no, the people in power, this network monarchy, they say no. I want the power. You are growing too much. Let me give these people this half-baked narrative. Let me cook. But it's not cooking. Just looking at all of these narrative. Is it a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. It is a pattern. And that is why I love data, especially historical data. And for this point onward, I don't want to go too deep and make it a conspiracy, but you can look at the patterns, you can look at the data. This idea of bilateral diplomacy is just a smokescreen for something much more sinister. But I urge future generations and international community to investigate the things that Thais are propagating. And so, as we arrive today, I want to go and talk more about this fake news here and there, but it's pointless. I want to make this video to show you, hopefully, future Thai citizens, when this kind of conflict happen again, I hope you can understand these patterns that your government has had, that you have to question the narrative that you are being fed to. You got to put all of your narrative on the table instead of blindly listen to this narrative and then get someone in power, all for the cycle to repeat again and again. And so this push from Thailand for bilateral diplomacy feels less like a sincere diplomacy, but more like a smokescreen for something strategic, for something more, for a scheme for people to get in power. And hand on heart, I hold on to this hope that at the end of the day, justice will prevail. As we are speaking, more and more narrative will come out. And for this video, I just hope it will serve as a testimony for future generation to know that history is not just the past. It's a web of interconnected patterns that can tell a beautiful but sometimes a sad story. And for a lot of Cambodians, my fellow Cambodians, I'm very thankful for the support. It's very unexpected. By analyzing the purpose, we can essentially look at the bigger pictures and tell the story that just look at the patterns. Your media machine means nothing if you look at what your country has done in the past. And I want this video to be a reminder of that. And there are a lot more that I want to talk. Yeah, essentially, I hope this video served that purpose. And I want to end this video on a brighter note. And that is, there is a saying in the past that history is written by the victors. And in this conflict, I realized something, that the truth is often told by those with the louder voice. With how big Thailand's media is, we can see that. However, every religion in its own way teaches us this concept, and that is truth walks slowly, but it never loses its way. And with that said, thank you so much to the Cambodian people. Thank you so much to all the foreigners who have supported Cambodia and for giving the voice to Cambodians. With that being said, I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully a tech video. Goodbye. It's early morning, and in my entire life, I've never thought I would wake up to literal death threats. It must mean I'm doing something right. Roll like fungus, manifest in my head, I write with my hands. That was a Vanda reference, by the way, and Vanda is Cambodia.